This course mainly deals with these few things. In order to understand this course, you have to understand clearly about the meaning of these things. First one is data. So what is data is, we have various kinds of definitions, but then coming to this course, what I mean by data is, it could be any fact that can be recorded and stored, right? So data is any fact that can be recorded. If you can record it, that's just a data, okay, according to this course. And if you want to see any examples about data, you may think of data as some text, right? Your facts can be written in terms of some text, like names. Name is a fact, isn't it? Or some numbers, like your address, phone number and all. Or it can be even some images, right? Images means the pictures that we take, right? That could also be a data. Or it can be videos, like right now you're watching, right? Videos. Or there are various types, like speech. So these are all data. If they can be recorded, then it is data. And then from this we are going to define database. So a database is collection of related data, which means if you take a collection of text, or if you take a collection of numbers, or if you take a collection of images, or if you take a collection of videos, they are all called as database. So database, according to this definition of this course, see, whatever terms these are, they have various definitions. You can find them on internet, but coming to this course, these are defined this way, okay? So database means it is actually a collection of all these related data, right? So it is collection of related data. Okay. Now you can traditionally the databases have been applied only for the data which are either text or numbers. For example, if you want to store something about a student, right, then you are going to store the name, which is text, and maybe his age, and maybe his marks, and maybe his address, right? And all these are going to be text and numbers. Or maybe if you want to reserve some ticket, right, online, then how is that you are going to do it? Again, the text and numbers are going to be used. Traditionally it has been numbers and text. So there are various types of databases. Now one type of database will contain only text and numbers, and it is also called as traditional database, okay? And recently, with videos being uploaded and downloaded at a very frequent pace, there has been a database created, which is a database of videos, or they might even contain database of speech, or they might contain database of songs or movies, anything like that, and that is called as multimedia database, right? Multimedia will be present in that. And recently you have seen this, there has been lot of these satellites, and these satellites are going to take the images of Earth, and they are going to send you back. Or even we have sent many rockets, and which are going to take the space photos, right? So they are all called as geographic information systems, which will contain mainly images, right? So depending on what we are trying to do, there are various types of, and there are even real-time databases. So real-time databases means these are generally used in the production. Right? Or if you have a store, if you have a supermarket, and now you are selling some goods, you want to keep track of how many items are remaining of each type, so that you want to place some order if the entire stock is over, right? They're all called as real time. So there are various types of databases, and sometimes we have, other than databases, if the database size is going to be very huge, then it is called as data warehouse. So data warehouse is also a kind of database. So what is the main difference between the database and data warehouses? Data warehouse is also a kind of database in which the data is going to be very huge and historical, which means we are going to have data stored about a company for the past 100 years, and then we'll want to see it, or we want to store, let us say, the stock market rates and all, and we want to predict the future by looking at the past for the past 100 years. If you are looking at that huge data, 100 years data, right, then it is going to be historical data and is going to be very huge. In that case, the database is also called as data warehouse, right? So these are the various examples of databases. So are you following it? Data is just a fact which can be recorded, and these are all the examples of data. And database means it is a collection of data which is related, right? For example, YouTube is having this multimedia database, right? Or Vimeo is having multimedia database, right? And NASA is having GIS, right? Geographic Information System database. So which means they are going to have the data which is related to various things. But then once you decide upon some database, you have to put only the things which are related to that database, right? So every insertion and deletion will be only concerning the data which is related to what you have defined, okay? And then once you have come up with a database, you are going to store it on a computer mainly. See, earlier databases were managed manually. Then what is a database? A book, you can take it as database. Then how do you manipulate it? Using a pen, right? Because it was managed manually, right? And later, now we are going to computerize everything. So every database is currently present on the computer. Now whenever you have a computer and data present on this, there should be some programs which should be defined, isn't it? You have to define some programs, right? And those programs should typically be able to do this. So like it has to define, which means you have to define the data types, the structures,